Welcome to Too Much Effing Perspective. I'm Alan Keller.
And I'm Alex Hoffman. We are 3 deep into 11 consecutive days of Spinal Tap Moments. So far, we've heard stories from outlaw guitarist Jesse Dayton, Tony-nominated lyricist Michael Corey, and today we're going to crank it up to 11 with award-winning journalist, author, and bureau chief for Mother Jones Magazine, David Korn.
David tells us about the time he lost tickets to a Bob Dylan concert when a mysterious man named Tim replaced them for free. Who was this Tim? And was he really a man?
So there was this time in the 70s when Bob Dylan became a born-again Christian. And he did a couple of albums, like Shot Full of Love and Slow Train Coming, I think was the first one. And I thought it was fantastic. It was all very allegorical, so you could listen to it and not be overwhelmed by it. So I was a big fan, and I was in college, going to school in Providence, Rhode Island at Brown. So Dylan was coming to town. I'd last seen him come through Providence a year or two earlier, and he played the Civic Center, which is the Madison Square Garden of Providence. And it was gigantic. It was packed. This time around, he played a theater, 3,000 seats, if that many, and tickets were easy to get. And I asked a few friends, and they said they had no interest in seeing him because of his religious conversion. And I bought 2 tickets anyway. And I really had to scrounge to find someone who I kind of liked, but I wasn't that close to, who wanted to go see the Dylan show and who would pay for the ticket, because I didn't want to just eat the price of the ticket. So his name was John, and he was another student. And so the day comes, and I get the tickets, I put them in my back pocket, and as we get a block or two from the theater, I reach in my back pocket to grab the envelope of the tickets, and they're gone. I search all my pockets. We see nothing. We walk up and down the hill again, see nothing. We come back to the place where I first realized I'd lost the tickets. And this guy comes up to us, and he's wearing khakis and a white dress shirt, kind of looks like a missionary type. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And he had a very particular manner of talking. And I said, "Well, yeah, stupid fucking me. I dropped my tickets and you were looking for them." He says, "You dropped them here?" And I said, "Well, I don't know where I dropped them." And all these buses are pulling up at the same time near the theater. And I realized that Christian academies had bought big blocks of tickets, and they were bringing in the students and young people. I mean, this was really like a revival event. And so we're looking, and he says, "Can I help you look?" And I go, "Sure." So he helps looking for like a minute or two. He goes, "I don't think you're going to find them." And I said, "Well, I think you're right." He goes, "Here, take these." And he hands me an envelope with 2 tickets. I go, "I don't really have any money on me." He goes, "Oh, they're yours." And I said, "Well, sure, okay." And John says, "Yeah, thanks, man." And I go, "Well, what's your name?" He goes, "My name is Tim." I go, "Okay, Tim. Yo, man, that's great. Great. Thanks, dude." We go inside and we sit down and we see all these folks that look like Christians from Christian schools coming and sitting around us. And, we settle into our seats and the show begins. And it begins with these 3 gospel singers. And one of them starts telling a story. And she goes, there was an old woman whose son went off to war, and the son was mortally wounded. He's lying on the battlefield. He's calling to his mom, Mother, I'm dying. I need to see you now. I need to see you now." And the mother heard the son. She heard her son, but this was a poor woman, and she didn't know what to do. She had no money for a train ticket. She had no car. How could she get to her son? And the Lord spoke to her, and God said, "Old woman, go down to the train station." "I have no money for a ticket." "Woman, go down to the train station." So she goes down to the train station, and she goes up to the conductor, says, "I got to get on the train. I got to see my son. He's dying in the battlefield." And he goes, "Show us your ticket, old woman." She goes, "I don't have money for a ticket." And he says, "Well, you can't ride the train without a ticket. And so the woman's standing by the side of the train tracks. And the conductor goes in and passengers go in, all these people with their tickets. And singers are oohing and ahhing behind us. The band is playing. And she goes, and the train starts to chug. And the coal's being poured into the engine. And the pistons start going and bumping. And the wheels start moving slowly and faster. And the wheels are moving. But the train's going nowhere. And the train's wheels are moving, but it's standing still on the track. And the old woman's watching. And then the conductor leans out the window and says, "Old woman, come on board." And the woman says, "But I have no ticket." And the conductor says, "That's okay. The Lord has your ticket. The Lord will give a ticket to anybody who needs a ticket." And I look at John and I said, "Who gave us our ticket?" He goes, "Tim." I go, "Yeah, Tim gave us our ticket." And so she gets on, the train goes off and the train's moving and there are two train sounds coming out of the PA. And then Dylan walks on. And this is when he starts to preach. And he says, "Yeah, you need a ticket to ride the train. If you don't have a ticket, if you're not with God, if you're not with Jesus, and you can't get on the train, then look, Bruce Springsteen, he was born to run. He's been running ever since. Jackson Brown, he's running on empty, and he will always run on empty. And Bob Seger, he's running against the wind. You need a ticket. You need to be with God to run right." And then he went into a song. And I have to say, we're not stoned. We're not on anything. We were just sort of blown away by this, the whole thing about the ticket. I got up several times to try to find Tim. I looked all through the theater. I went outside. We never saw Tim.
Thanks for joining us on this special episode of the TMEP Show. We hope you enjoyed our third of 11 consecutive days of humbling but hilarious Spinal Tap moments.
Join us tomorrow when session player Jay Wilms tells us about the time he realized if you want to enter Africa, you'd better bring the right key. On Too Much Effing Perspective.
Too Much Effing Perspective is a Milwaukee Talkies original. Evergreen Podcast Network.